What's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Redefining Issued Equipment. And in this video we're going to be going over the new Army Advanced or Airborne Tactical Assault Panel System, or the ATAPS for short, and how to configure this for machine gun employment. So we'll cover how to set it up for the 240, the 249, the Mark 46, and the Mark 48. Just realize when it comes down to it, there's going to be one setup for the 240, and then there's going to be a setup for the other systems, just because the 249, the Mark 46, and the Mark 48 are kind of based off that 249 receiver, so they have a little bit more crossover in between those systems. So with that, before I get too far into it, I have received a lot of questions on whether the original TAPS system would work for machine gun employment and setting up the pouches and everything on that. My answer is still pretty much a hard no, just because when you add these magazine or ammo pouches to the magazine panel that's on that TAPS system, the original one, it just creates this kind of xylophone effect where everything kind of like wants to bounce out and back in and whatnot when you're moving around and running and gunning and all that. So I would recommend, or highly recommend, against utilizing the original TAPS for machine gun employment. I would utilize the ATAPS system, just because I think it does a much better job with the MOLLE panels that you have, and them being also kind of rigidly reinforced with a little bit of plastic on the interior. So I would highly recommend this system over the original TAPS, especially when it comes to machine gun employment. So with that, I'm going to dive right into it. I'm going to remove a few things. There are multiple pouches for different kind of configurations, so I'll pull those off to the side, and then from there we will briefly talk about the configuration that you see here, and talk about kind of how the stuff from the leadership and kind of RTO configurations crosses over, and then also address some modifications, and then add the ammo stuff at the end, so that way you guys can see what everything looks like all together. So with that, briefly, you'll leave 4 MOLLE sections on either side for your ammo pouches, whether it's for the 240 or the 249, Mark 46 or Mark 48. And I'm sure when we get the new systems from SIG or whoever is making them through the Army now, we'll run those ammo pouches in the same places. But inside of that, you'll definitely want a radio pouch, or at least it's my recommendation that the machine gunner has a radio pouch, just so that way he has direct communication with the leadership within his element, so that way they can walk him on to targets if need be, and or maneuver that machine gunner to a better position or a more advantageous position to be able to give that element the upper hand. So having that control piece definitely creates a much better situation for the tactical environment and getting dudes where they need to be. If it's not possible to run a radio, I would definitely recommend either running a larger general purpose pouch a larger general purpose pouch for both your med kit and any tools and equipment that you may need to be able to get that gun back into the fight when and if it goes down, because typically machine guns, they like to have some issues with the ammo and chew things up. So if you need to get something out of the gun, pull some equipment out to be able to extract a ruptured casing, deal with a bunch of rounds that have been fed into the gun that you need to get out, having a small general purpose pouch for that stuff is going to be nice. So you can do it one of two ways. You can have 2 separate small general purpose pouches, or a small general purpose pouch and a med kit, or just one large kit that's all kind of together all at once. Just make sure that if you do a larger kit, that you can retain that med kit inside of there in the event that you forget to reclose that general purpose pouch. So couple options there for having both your med kit and the tools necessary to keep that gun in the fight. With that, on the other side of the system, or on the right hand side of the system, you have a small general purpose pouch for your night vision device. I would just try and find the right pouch size for the different types of night vision that you have. This is just a small general purpose pouch that the aviation crews use and get with their kits that they get issued. Venture Surplus is selling these right now, so they're a good option. Really well made and really well put together. You can fit PVS 31s in this, and it only costs you, a couple of bucks versus going out and buying, a $30 or $40 small general purpose pouch. So it'll fit some of the other systems in there to include like the PSQ 20s, I believe, And then also, PVS 14s. If you try and fit 15s in here, they'll get real tight, so that just is something to be cognizant of. But PVS 31s and some of the smaller monoculars will definitely fit in that pouch. And then next, for all of the machine gunners, it doesn't matter who you are, I would definitely recommend having a multi-tool, because it's always an if, or it's not, it is not if when the gun goes down, but when the gun goes down, having a multi-tool is going to help you get that gun back into the fight as fast as possible. I can't tell you how many times in combat I've had machine guns, double feed or have rounds just get chewed up inside of the gun. So having that multi-tool helps get all of that cleared out and get that gun back into the fight. With that, when it comes to the back panel, especially for the 240 gunner, I would recommend carrying 3 mags up at the top just for your ammo bearer. It helps him out, cover your back, and make sure that he has enough ammo to protect you. And then it's also a couple of mags that you could use in the event that you need to pick up his gun and fight with it. So having that is definitely good to have. It protects you, it protects him, it helps him offset some of his ammo. So if he wants to carry more than 7 mags, you can carry that for him, because that dude is carrying all your ammo for you for the most part. So for the 240 gunner, I would definitely recommend running mags up top here. And this is just the Tactical Assault Gear or TAG mission sustainment pack or whatever it is. Highly recommend it, because when it comes down to it, aside from the mags up top, you can add an additional multi-tool if you need it. You have 2 small general purpose pouches for just smaller items. You have 1 kind of medium-sized general purpose pouch for larger items, or if you want to throw meals or water or whatever in there, something a little bit extra space to be able to do that. And then you also have this large pocket that you can throw a hydration bladder in there, a jacket, gloves for colder weather, and then any other mission essential equipment that you may need. You can definitely fit additional ammo in here. I wouldn't put it in the larger pocket. I would probably put it in the smaller medium pocket on the exterior, but you definitely have space to be able to plus up your kit and plus up the ammo that you're carrying. So you can definitely run this version of the tag bag or mission support bag or sustainment pack. There's also a smaller version of this pack that you can get that has MOLLE up at the top, so you can kind of customize it, and then it's only got the MOLLE and then 1 larger pocket here, and then your main compartment as well. This is actually it right here, so that way you can kind of see what's going on with that one. So you can definitely run this one on there as well. You could also run the Eagle Industries Map Pack or the Eagle Industries Beaver Tail. Those are also 2 really good options for machine gun setups and configurations, and carrying extra ammo or equipment and things that you may need for that machine gun. So definitely highly recommended when it comes to machine gun setup. Real quick, when it comes to the interior, and I talk about this kind of a little bit more in depth with the leadership configuration, setting this up is pretty simple. If you don't have like a MOLLE panel that you can insert here, and I'll talk about that here at the end, but the MOLLE that's up at the top here, you're just going to MOLLE the top of the pack through that single strand of MOLLE. You can also zip tie that down to help secure it and keep it in place, and then that way you have the top secured for the pack. And then what you'll do from there is you'll take the vertical back straps that are on this system. You'll have to cut off the little end that is on here that's sewn over itself, but you'll cut that off, take a lighter to it, make sure it's all melted down so that way it doesn't unravel on you, and then you'll pull that entire strap out of your little adjustment strap piece up here at the top. And then what you can do is from the bottom, or really the top of this lower back panel, you can run that through the MOLLE for any one of those MOLLE packs, or the MOLLE backed packs, and then run that through your adjustment piece and then back through the MOLLE, and that will help set this up to where you have the pack system and you don't have to go out and purchase something else for the configuration of this thing. So with that, I do know that Fire Force has made they have a MOLLE 2 panel is what it's called, that's originally designed for the flick system that would MOLLE, or that would attach to these little adjustment pieces up at the top of that old system, and then you had a little MOLLE panel to be able to attach things to. I haven't tested it out yet, but I do think that it should be configurable to this system and the new ATAPS system. So keep an eye out for that video when I get it. I'll do a specific video on how to set all of that up and let you know if it works. They have told me that they're going to discontinue that product. Hopefully they don't, and they just adapt it to the newer system, because I think it would be a huge benefit to have that capability and expand the MOLLE on the pack portion of this. So keep an eye out for that, but I just wanted to show you that real quick and how to configure it. It's real simple. Just remember how to properly route everything through those little adjustment pieces. And then before I forget, when you're on the bottom half of this guy right here, you can also zip tie down the pack to the back panel, and then also run the MOLLE through the bottom here as well. That will help secure everything and make sure that everything stays in place and isn't shifting around on you when you're really moving and running and gunning. So with that, we get into the 240 piece and then the 249 Mark 46 and Mark 48 piece, so that way you can kind of see what's going on when it comes to the specific pouches for the specific systems. So starting off with the 240, so these are just the Eagle Industries M60 ammo pouch. They're pretty simple and straightforward. They cost a couple of bucks on Venture Surplus or eBay, so if you want a specific ammo pouch for the 240, I would definitely recommend this. There are some other options with Tac Taylor, Raptor Tactical, and I believe Tier for Spear and ATS. I think all of those companies all have specific pouches for 7.62x51 and belt fed systems, so I would definitely recommend looking at all of those, figure out what's going to work best for you. I do like these ones though because they're super thick and robust, so you don't have to worry about the ammo punching through the material, because it's about probably close to 1,000 denier Cordura, probably 750 to 1,000 range. And then you have this little divider on the interior, so it helps keep your rounds oriented in one direction. So that is why I like these guys. But you'll just simply take these and MOLLE them onto either side, and then that way you can carry 100 rounds on either side of the kit for the 240. So you'll have 200 rounds on you, your starter belt, and then the ammo bearer will have his whole system when it comes to carrying additional ammo for you. My recommendation when it comes to that configuration, use a Malice or a Alice pack frame, and then get a MOLLE panel that you can set up on it, and then set up all of the different ammo pouches on that system. I prefer having horizontal ammo pouches, so the ammo will come out from the sides for that system, versus something that's going to be up top like this, because if it's up top like that, you'll always have to turn everything towards the gunner, whichever way he's facing and whichever way the feed system is. Usually for the 240, it's feeding from the left-hand side, but if you have those horizontal pouches, you can just throw that down right next to him and then just feed everything out through the sides of everything. So my preferred method when it comes to that, but that Malice pack frame and the MOLLE panel is going to make it very customizable to where you can run, if you really want to, you can set up the ammo packs and then also the tripod configuration, and then also have a small pouch at the bottom for tools. I'll try and get us set up for you guys so that way you can actually see how that looks here in the near future. I have an Alice frame, I just don't have the MOLLE panel for it right now. So that's the 240, pretty simple and straightforward. One other recommendation when it comes to equipment that you may want to run on your kit, whether you hair tie them to your kit or you run them in the small pouches that are on the interior of the pouch, I would definitely recommend having a couple cleaning rods as well as a case extractor, so that way in the event that that gun has a malfunction and you have a case that either ruptures or shears inside of the gun, you can pull that round out of, or that casing out of the gun and get that gun back into the fight. Otherwise you're kind of in a really bad spot and that gun won't be able to be employed. All right, next we have the 249, the Mark 46 and the Mark 48 configuration. So I don't know who makes these. I'm pretty sure that these are just the Marine Corps version of a saw drum pouch. I would recommend picking up 2 of these or something similar to them. And then for the 249 gunners or the Mark gunners that are out there, I would definitely recommend having a 200 round drum on the gun, 2 100 round nut sacks, and then a 200 round nut sack. So that way between all of it you have 600 rounds of ammunition. If you want to run additional ammunition in the mission sustainment pack, you definitely can, but that way it gives you the ability to tailor what that load is going to look like for the gun depending on what's going on, how far you have to move, and so on and so forth. So that's definitely my recommendation for that piece. So that way you guys are moving a little bit more comfortably, and then tailoring your kit to, and the gun's capabilities to whatever's going on in the mission. So these things are pretty cheap. I don't know if Venture Surplus has these in stock. They used to, but I do know that you can get them on eBay, and you can also get them on Amazon. So I would definitely highly recommend just these simple open pouches. And you guys can check this out, and that makes it a little bit easier. So it is the Molly 2 200 round saw gunner pouch, and then the NSN. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'll put all that information in the actual bio, so that way you guys can find that stuff a lot easier. But yeah, that is definitely how I would set this whole entire system up for any one of those platforms, the 240, the 249, the Mark 46, or the Mark 48. So then that way you can get those guns into the fight as fast as possible and do some damage. So if you have any questions, please feel free and ask. I will definitely help you out in any way that I can in answering those questions. If there's a question that I can't answer, I will find the right person to answer it for you. And with that, like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.